Okay, that's great.
The recording
Okay,
is
good evening
starting.
all. So good evening all. This is Manikandan here. So welcome to the webinar sessions on the Big Data Chennai chapter. And today we are going to continue the last week webinar on the NIFE. That's a topic we discussed on the last week webinar. So today Dinesh is going to cover up, and then he's going to explain the practical way of NIFE, and then the how to do the connectivity, and then how to configure, maybe how to work on the NIFE. All those things he's going to cover, and also he's going to cover on the Windows-based platform. If you have a Windows 7, so you might be if you're having Linux version or the cloud-based, you might be having a lot of difficulty to install the Hadoop or Hive, HBase, Spark, Scala, whatever the tool you name it. It's very difficult to configure if you're in a beginner stage. So what he's going to do is today is going to showcase a tool which is on the Windows-based platform. It's a graphical user interface platform where you can easily just a simple setup click, you can easily configure and do the program end-to-end on the big data world or data science world. Okay, so that's a tool is going to showcase to you all so that you can just learn that and then try to install on your laptop or PC, and then try to start learning this technology, because these technologies are going to be #1 technology for next 10 years. Okay, so with that message, over to the Dinesh. You can start the sessions for the webinar. Thank you all.
Okay, Manish. So guys, good evening all. So,
Dinesh, can you give your intro about 2 minutes about yourself to the other audience to understand?
sure, Manish.
Yeah.
Uh, so my name is Dinesh Kumar. I am working in Syncfusion Software. So it is basically a product-based company, like similar to Cloudera or Hortonworks. We do provide a distribution where Hadoop, this Apache NiFi, Hive, Spark, everything will be bundled in a distribution, and that distribution will be running in Windows environment. So it will be easy for users to use the services. So in that point of thing, let me start the session now. So basically, you'd have saw so those users who are using NiFi, you'd have such a screen. Like this will be the NiFi's default UI. When you configure NiFi in your machine and launch the UI, so this will be the default UI. So what Syncfusion has does is the same NiFi package, the Syncfusion has configured it for to be more user friendly, right? So that is the thing. So for our learning purpose, we can easily install this with a single just a single step of installation. We can configure NiFi, Hadoop, Spark, everything, and we can just start learning. So that is the main goal. So let me start. Let me tell how to install this. Okay, let me go to Google and just search Syncfusion. This is the company name. So once you get into the site, in the product section, you can see various products available here. Out of this, in the enterprise solution tab, you could see here data integration platform. Just click on that. So from here, before the downloading, you have to create an account in Syncfusion, because you are going to download a tool which Syncfusion has bundled. So you have to create an account. I already have an account, so I have which is logged in, so I can directly start my download here. So this is the NiFi distribution, NiFi advanced distribution. You can name it like that. So Syncfusion data integration platform. This is the tool. You have to just click this. Here it is mentioned as download free trial. Yet it is not a trial version. Like when you are installing, you won't be asked any keys, or after a month or 45 days, software won't be going not working manner like that. It will be working once you install. It will be working forever. So there will be no hurdles. So just clicking this download, it will. You can download either exe or zip. It is up to your choice. So it is around 816 MB of package. So once you download, you will be having a file like this. 1 second, let me show that. So you will be having a file like this, Syncfusion data integration, so which is of 813 MB. So just double click that. I have already downloaded, so just showing you the next step. So this is a simple Windows exe form of file where everything will be pre-configured and everything will be bundled in it. So I think installation would take some 20 minutes or 15 minutes. I think I don't want to waste that. So you can just proceed with yes, and the installation will start. So there won't be any issues in there. Yes, Dhananjaya has asked, is the software only for Windows or other platforms also? Right now it is available, it can be installed only in Windows because it is an exe, .exe format. So it is this can be installed only in Windows OS. Okay, okay, fine. So once you have installed, you will be having an icon like this. Just you will be having a shortcut key in desktop like this, Start Syncfusion Data Integration. Just double click on that, and a wizard will be open like this. So what it basically does is it will start the NiFi service for you, and it will make you to the NiFi environment ready-made. So just double click on that. This installation file has launched the NiFi service and also the launched the UI as well. So as I have showed the image earlier, so this is the default NiFi UI. Yes, anybody has speak anything? Okay, so this is the default NiFi UI. Okay, so the same NiFi UI has been improvised and made very much user friendly. So this is what the UI you will be having after installing Syncfusion Data Integration Platform. Okay. So any doubts in downloading and installation? Can we proceed? Sorry, can't get you.
Yes, you can proceed. Yeah.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, so last week Manikandan would have taught basics of NiFi, what are all the key points and the components name, all those things Manikandan would have taught. So let me just review, do a quick review of it with my presentation. So this NiFi, Syncfusion Data Integration Platform, or you can say, you can mean it as NiFi, is an easy to use and powerful, reliable system to process and distribute data. So something basically you can mean this NiFi as a data flow tool and also as an ETL tool, extract, transform, and load. Okay. So this is how the UI will be there. This is what the UI I have showed you just now. So to say something about this, Intuitive UI will be there. Various data sources you can connect with. Either it can be Facebook, Twitter, any kind of database. Either it can be your local machine, FTP server, anything. So you can connect with n number of data source. So you can provision the data flow. So when we go into sample, you will understand better. So the advantage of NiFi is there is no coding at all. just drag and drop. Everything will be drag and drop. This is by default. NiFi also has drag and drop feature only. In this tool, it will be more user friendly with icons specified for each processor to identify it better. Like for example, Amazon related processors are grouped here. So you can easily identify what are all the processes available for Amazon and what are all the processes available for Hadoop, like HBase, everything. So you can connect with various data sources. You can find the list of data sources here. So any kind of JDBC, big data tools, HDFS, HBase, Flume, REST API, social media, Twitter, Google Analytics, Facebook, and NoSQL database, Cassandra, MongoDB, HBase, Elasticsearch, and it supports various file formats, JSON, XML, CSV, etc. So once you create a template, you can also publish it. Like we create a Java program. Just imagine that we create a Java program and we use the jar and deploy the jar in various places now. Similarly, we can create a template, what my data flow should be, and I can publish it in anywhere. So last week, Mani told about Minify. So Minify, actually NiFi is of 800 MB, around 800 MB. Minify will be of 50 MB. The thing is, we can create our application with NiFi and make it run with Minify. Since it is 50 MB, we can install it in any small devices, like either it could be in iWatch or anything it may be. Like it will be very useful for Internet of Things application, types of application. So those who are aware of Internet of Things, IoT, this NiFi is very much useful. For example, let me tell an use case. Consider a patient named Kumar or something. So that patient has some heart problem. So he wears an iWatch. So in that iWatch, I have a application which would recognize his heartbeat. And also with this NiFi, with this Minify, I will publish a template and inject it into that Minify. Like whenever the heart rate of Kumar goes down, an email will be sent to the doctor directly. So for such kind of use cases, this Minify is useful in many places like IoT. Okay. So in this tool, another advantage is it will be available in toolbar forms of things. So it will be easy to identify the various components like processor, funnel, output port, everything. So it is extensible. It can be extended to external tools also, and you can schedule it. So once you have defined the data flow job, and you can schedule it to run once in a day, or in every day 2 times you have to run, or every month, like that you can schedule it. It also supports this cron expression. So with this cron you can define any kind of scheduling. So the data flow will be secure. NiFi itself has inbuilt enterprise grade encryption. So the data flow will be secure when you are using this. Okay. So there are various controller services as well. So this also Mani has told in the last session. These control services are like to connect with external data sources like SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL. For example, here DBCP connection pool. What this does is we require SQL Server's JDBC driver. We have to configure it here, and we can connect with the SQL Server's database in NiFi. So that is the thing. Let me just show you how to create this control service when I go into the NiFi UI. Fine. So let us go with the sample. So once you install here, you could see the 3 different options here. The first one is components, main components. These are the key factors, key aspects of NiFi. Processor, funnel, label, remote processor group, process group, input port, output port. So these are the basic keywords which are already explained in the last week. So if you want to tell me again, I can tell. And if anyone want, you just ping me, let me tell again. So the next tab will be templates. So these templates are nothing but predefined samples available inbuilt once you install this data integration platform. So if you want to do HDFS related operations in NiFi, you can just check this sample. Similarly, HBase operation. Similarly, Google Analytics sample. So mathematical operations. If you want to convert JSON to SQL, so Twitter, there are many samples, many use cases, many samples are there. You can just check those things. So for now, let me just open a sample which is already existing. So this sample is basically string operations. Okay. So this is how the UI will be there. Let me just explain this sample and then let me just create a new sample and do a drag and drop operation. Okay. Once if I execute the sample, you can know what is happening. So let me just tell about the sample, execute this and then create a new sample. So this is a processor. The processor name is getFile. You can easily check here what are all the processor available. Sorry, I should go here. So you have to go to components tab and you can search here. So this is the processor being used here. So getFile what basically does is it will get the file from the local machine. So how I have went to this window is just right click on that and configure. You are just configuring that particular processor. In this pop-up, click the properties window. So in the properties, you can see various properties and its respective values. So here you can see the input directory, where my actual source file, where my file exists, the directory name. So here it is mentioned here. So it is in samples, data, and AdventureWorks. And file filter. So why it is named as file filter is we can have we may have any number of files. Like it may not be a single file, right? In real environment, 1.csv, 2.csv, 3. Like this, any type of CSV file will be there. So we can just mention star.csv. But right now, my sample is of directly one file only. So I have mentioned the file name here. And one more thing, what you have to do is deciders. You have to check this attribute, keep source file. This keep source file, what it does is, if the default value is false. So if it is false, what happens is the actual source file will get deleted once NiFi recognizes this, takes this file. Okay. So if you want to retain the source file, you can just mark it as true. Okay. So this is it. So let me just show the location as well. C colon samples, data, AdventureWorks. So this is what the location. Why there was dot is the installed location. It will take care of the install location. So after the dot, samples, data, and AdventureWorks. This is the file name. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me just change the location of this. Okay. See, can you see an error like mark here? So what it tells is input directory is invalid because there is no such directory like samples, data, AdventureWorks 1. Okay. Previously it was having the correct value. I just changed it to a incorrect directory. So it is showing the error. Okay. So this is how you need to like how to say, validate your processor whether you are giving correct value or not. But the thing is, you cannot cross check all the values. So for some basic items, NiFi will validate for you and it will tell whether it is right or wrong. So I have given the correct value and it have changed to red icon. So this red icon is nothing but this particular processor is in not running stage. Like we can take it as it is in stop stage. Okay. So this processor is connected to the next processor. Yes, Dhananjaya, we can read it from any directory. So okay, fine. Let me just change this source location. Let me check like, so I have a directory called D sample. In that also I have a file, adventure person context, the same file name. Let me just change this. Okay, I have changed the directory here. See, it has accepted. Okay, so anywhere it can be. The thing is, you have to mention your source directory. Okay, okay, fine. So the next processor is split text. Okay, so all the processors are available here. Let me just explain this sample, friends. Okay, so what this split text will do is, let me open the configure window and let me just show what it does. So what I have said is line split count. I am asking this processor to split this line one by one. Okay, that's it. So this is the only value I have modified here. Okay, so it will just split the file line by line. Like this is your source file and it will split the line by line. Okay, so the next processor is extract text. So what this does is, it will just extract the input data. So this is a additional requirement for the sample. Yes, this data should be structured, or we can import unstructured data too. See, that's what there are many data sources are there. You can the thing is, based on the data source you are choosing. Okay, so the data source can be either HBase. HBase is a NoSQL database. Okay, right? You know that. So the data source can be HBase, MongoDB, anything it can be. So even though semi-structured data source also will be supported here. I think I have showed this in this as well. So JSON, XML, CSV, all these things are meant to be like JSON and XML are like meant to be semi-structured data, and NoSQL database, Cassandra, MongoDB, HBase, Elasticsearch, these are on NoSQL. Even these are being supported. Okay, so to identify this, you just go here and search for just type MongoDB. You can see here get Mongo. When you are using this processor, what you have to do is just tell this processor where your MongoDB instance is running. That's it. So it will take from MongoDB. So similarly, if your data source is of Elasticsearch, you can just use Elasticsearch processor and proceed with this. You need to tell the where your Elasticsearch is configured, and you can just use it. 1 second, there is a spelling typo mistake. See, for Elasticsearch, there are many processors there. Fetch, put, query, there are many processors there. So you need to just tell this processor where your Elasticsearch is running. That's it. Is it fine? Fine, let me proceed. So where I left here, I think, extract text. So I have created a new property here. So when you see here, there is an add icon. You can also create your own property for a processor, and you can set the value for that, what it has to be. Right? So I have created a property called input data. Okay, because I am going to use this input data property in my next processor. Okay, I'll show that. So this is just a label which has a detailed comments to explain all the cases, what this particular processor is doing. So by default, this sample is having like say 6 columns: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Like you can say that's ID, name, age, email, phone number, and a timestamp field. Okay. So what this processor is doing is, first it just extracts the data E. Okay. In the, I am just telling in terms of ETL. It just extracts the data. In this processor replace text, I am transforming the data. Okay. Let me tell how it is being transformed. So what are the transformations here we are doing is, we are adding new columns. Okay. So what we does is, in the column 7, so as I told earlier, it is having only 6 columns in my source file. So once I execute the sample, I'll be having totally 12 columns. So the 7th column will have 4th column's data appended by .co.in. See, the 4th column's data is my email ID. Sorry, just this email ID. It will be appended with .co.in. This is what we do in ETL process, right? We just change the case, or we just change the date format. We do transformations. So that is what I am showing you with example. And 8th column, we will have a prepend word, email ID. So to identify better, I'm just prepending with the word email ID. And 9th column will be doing uppercase. 10th column will be converting lowercase, and 11th column will be converting my the date format, and the 12th column will be the current date timestamp. Okay. So all these are being done in this particular processor. So Harisha, can you mute yourself? Okay, thanks. Okay. So I have previously told you, right? I have created a new property here in the name of input data to recognize the flow file which is flowing between my processor. So I am using that property here. See, input data. And in this property, I am telling get the delimited field of 6th item. Okay. So I am just telling NiFi regarding this. In my input data, just get the delimited field of 6th item. So to name here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will be the 6th item. And the replacement value will be here. Let me just paste it in a notepad so that it will be visible better. Is it visible now? Guys, am I audible? Okay, fine. So in this, what I have told is the input data, and what I'm doing is I am just appending this instead of this 6th field, I'm just appending this. So what I'm doing is, I have already told you these samples, no? Just appending the column by .co.in, email ID, uppercase, lowercase. Everything is mentioned here. So append.co.in and prepend with email ID word, and make the second column as 2 upper, make the second column as 2 lower. Okay. And convert the date field to this particular format, and at last add a new column with this current timestamp in this format. So this is all going to be happen now once I run this sample. Okay. So at last my transformation is completed. So first I have extracted here. Extraction is happening in these 3 processor. Transformation is totally done in this processor. And finally I'm going to load it. So this loading also can be of any data source. Okay, it can be HDFS, it can be HBase, it can be Azure, it can be AWS, you can store in cloud, you can store in Elasticsearch, anything it may be. Okay, so basic thing is it is all of a data flow to come ETL tool with an user friendly, very user friendly manner. Okay, so what here I have did is I have used put file processor. This is nothing but similar to get file. I have read the file from my local machine. I am doing some transformation, and again I am going to load my cleaned up data in my local machine itself. Okay, so for practicing, this is fine. You don't need to get some database or cloud environment, Azure, everything to be ready. So for just practicing, you can just get your file from your local machine, do some transformation, and load it in your local machine itself. So let me just check the properties given here. See, I have specified the directory here. Earlier, someone has asked to change the directory. So let me just create a new directory. So in the name of output. Okay. So in the D drive, I have an folder called output. So let me replace with this. Okay. And I need to tell this either it should append or replace or what type of action it should happen. Okay. So if I don't give append, what happens is for my every new job, it will just replace the new content. Okay, if I choose replace. If I give append, it will just start to append in the already existing file. I'll just show this in the example. Okay, fine. So this is the sample. So what the context of the sample is extract the data from my local machine, split it line by line, create a new property to have my data in that property and do some transformation and load it in my local machine itself. Fine. So let me just run this sample. For running this, what you have to do is just right click and start. See, all the icons will be turning to green and the process has started. So to know the current each and every second scenario, you can just give refresh. See, you can see the small numbers being written over here, like read rate 829 bytes and everything is getting happen. Okay, so since this is just a 10 row file, the process has completed very quickly. Okay, so what will in a real case we would be having some bigger files. It could be of MB, even it could be of GB. So what happens is it will slowly send the files uh, part by part, like flow file. Last week Mani would have told about flow file. What is flow file? So that is the basic unit of NiFi. Sorry, basic unit of NiFi, which holds the data. That flow file will be flowing in these connections, right? So you can see the connections over here. In these connections, the flow file will be transferring from one processor to other processor. Fine. So as of now, I think the sample has completed its execution. Let me just check the target directory. So I think we had it in D colon output folder. Okay. 1 second. Okay, I think I just I didn't save this. After changing the value, I should have changed. So the actual location is samples output string manipulation output. Samples output string manipulation output and my file name. So you can see here, right? So this is my source file. I have extracted this source file, did some transformation, and I have loaded in my target file. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. After my sixth column, see, these are all my transformed data. As I have told you, the column 7 will be having appended by .co.in. See, you can see the 7th column data with co.in, and similarly the 8th column will be having the word email ID prepended to this, and the 9th column will have second column's data in uppercase. 10th column will be of second column's data in lowercase. 11th column will have the date field being converted to my defined format, right? So this is how the sample has worked. Our extraction, transformation, and loading has been completed. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is this is how my job is being running. What happen if I come with a new file? Okay. So this is the source location I have told you. Sample. This is the source location I told, right? So fine. So let me just change my source to some other thing and rerun this application. Okay. So let me have some. Okay, even I can just copy this to some other location as well. Sorry, something happened. 1 second. Sample. Okay, sample and the same data. So previously I had my source file in D drive. Now I'm having it in C drive. So to change my source location, I'm just stopping this particular processor alone, configure it, and change my source location. Okay. So since this file name is same, it is as usual. So I have just saved this. See, I have changed my source location here, and just see. See, my target location is having now 9 rows. Okay. See now what happens if I just run this processor. That is, I am just stopping my get file processor alone, and I am telling it that, see, I have a new location and some new files. Take that like that. So I am just charting this. See, the data will be moving between the processor, and finally, yeah, the process has completed. See, the new data has been processed and appended to my target location. You got that? Previously we had only 9 rows, and I have told that NiFi to take my data from new location. It has once again did the ETL process and uploaded to the new location. Yeah. Is there any error handling mechanism if files are not available? Yes, Dhananjaya, there are things. That is, I'm going to tell that. See, when you configure itself in the settings page, I think I can just show this in a new sample itself. Okay. So any doubt in this particular sample? I will just tell your doubt in next few minutes, Dhananjaya. Okay. So any other doubt in this particular sample? Okay, fine. Let me proceed. So let me just stop this and let me just kickstart. This is how a fresh sample will be there. You will not be having any components here. So when you kickstart with a new sample, you need to search for the processor and you need to work on it. See, let me just search for get file, and I am just doing drag and drop here. Okay, what it will do is in my data flow, it will create a new process group. Okay, process group term is explained in the last week. Let me tell once again. It is nothing but a collection of process. Okay, like you can mean it as a sample to understand it simply. Sample 1, sample 2, sample 3. So this is one sample, this is one sample, and this is a new sample which I have just created right now. Okay, so this breadcrumb related things and all available only in this particular tool. In default NiFi, you will not be having this user friendly breadcrumb and all. Okay, so the thing is, to make user friendly, this DIP has data integration tool platform has did some changes in NiFi source itself and bundled it. Okay, so I have just drag and drop this get file processor, and see, there is nothing, no other processor are there, and this is a fresh one, and I am configuring it. So by default my input directory has no value. Let me tell it as this, and my file filter, by default this means that it whatever the file is in this directory it will take. So let me tell that no, do I just take my CSV type of files or this particular file alone, like that, like I can customize it. And as I told earlier, this keep source file will be false by default. I am changing it as true. Okay, so that my source data will not get deleted. Fine. And once I have do this, see, still I'm having this red icon. The thing is, NiFi processes, this process group processes has relationship between each process. Okay, see, this sample, between each processor we have a relationship from one to, from one to, from one to. Okay, so what we should define is, I should tell this processor what has to be done in case of success. Okay, so the second process which we added is split text. In my fresh sample, let me just add that. So here is my split text. I have just added, and I just do a drag and drop here to connect between my two processors. So once you complete the drag and drop, this itself will tell you that for which relationship you should create this connection. I have just by default it will have the success as checked. So in case of success, you just create this connection. Okay, I have added this. So see here, it has the error has gone. Okay, so in the settings you can see here other properties and all. What is the name of this processor, and in scheduling you can check in what scheduler this particular processor should run. Either it is cron or run driven, or it should run once. And in properties we have seen earlier, and in comments you can just type your own user friendly comments, like what we do in our application. We will be adding some user comments now or other developers knowledge, like that. For this processor you can add your own comments. Fine. So what happens here, why it is still marking it as error? Let us check that. So in the error in the property, the line split count is not mentioned anything. So let me just mention it as 1. Okay, and apply. Still some error. What happens? Relationship failure is invalid because I didn't mention my failure case. What has to be done in case in a failure case? Dhananjaya, your question is being answered now. Okay, the error handling mechanism, because any kind of application there are errors. It may have errors, it may have failures. Okay, so what happens if this particular processor fails? I should tell that in case of failure in my processor, I should create a new processor. Like I can log it, or I can use this put email processor. Okay, so see, I am creating this connection only in case of failure. Okay, in case of failure, my put email processor will trigger. Like in case my process fails, I can configure that why this process has failed, the log message, exception message. I can bundle that into a flow file and send it over this connection to my email, and send it. This processor will automatically mail to that recipient mail ID. Okay, so this is how NiFi works upon. Yeah, where can get the logs? See, in case of logs or success, what happens is this particular flow file will have the details. Like, one second. Since it doesn't have anything, the data is empty. Let me just show you the sample which we run. 1 second. I think we have everything in a success manner. So the logs are not present here. So whenever we execute the sample, there will be some within this processor itself. We have some data. Let me just show you that as well. Yeah, this is the sample I showed you running now. So let me just disable this and start other process. Okay, see, this processor is disabled and all the other processes are running, and the data, see here, you can see here in this particular connection, the data is passed from this processor. Data is passed, but since this processor is disabled, the data will wait here till the next processor goes on alive. Okay, so till that you can check all these processor will be idle, it will not do anything. And when you go within this, you can see the details, what are the data that exists here, and what is the queue duration, the file size, file name, everything will be here. So still you can get more details. So what is the component used, and the component name, component type, everything will be here. So in case of error, this list queue will have the enough information, all the information related to the error. So those errors should be configured. We have to configure that. We have to configure that, and we should tell what should be done in case of error. See, this is case of success. Similarly, in case of failure, we have to tell NiFi what it has to do. Just log it in a log file or email the error message, everything. Okay, is that fine? Okay, so is this okay with NiFi running with example? Can we just go to just Windows Hadoop tool? So that's a different tool. This is a different tool. This is of only NiFi, and that will be of different tool. Yes, Dhananjay, we can create custom processors, because by default most of the data source are supported by NiFi, but just in case if you have a unique database, unique data source, like there are many data sources, the Snowflake, everything are there. So in case of those things, you can create your own processor. Yes, Dhananjay, I think it is a additional process. I think I can make it in a separate session, creating a custom processor and adding those things. Okay, fine. So, but it is possible. We can write custom processors. These are all supported processors. Similarly, you can write your own custom processor. That is the advantage of NiFi. By default, NiFi itself supports many things, and it also allows us to do our own things by you writing custom processor. Okay, so can I proceed to Hadoop Windows tool, Big Data Studio? Okay, fine. So this is the Windows tool which will have Hadoop, Scoop, Pig, Hive, HBase, Spark, everything bundled in it. So this is also an simple exe which you need to download, install, and start to work. Okay, so there is a separate session considering this whole usage of this whole tool. What can be done with each tab? What can be done other than this tab? What are all the options available, like samples on those things? There is a separate YouTube video. I will share it in the chat window soon, or I'll share it in the group once the download link, the YouTube link, everything. Okay. So let me just tell where to download this. So same Syncfusion. So I have just went to home page. In the products menu, just click this big data platform. Okay. So once you click on it, you can just click this download free. So this is mentioned as free trial. As I told earlier, it will not ask any key. For learning, it is absolutely free. Okay. So this download page will show you detailed information of different distributions available. Okay. So for now, you need not concentrate on this second section, creating a production cluster. So we are not going to create any production cluster. We are going to just install in our local machine and going to start learning. How a big data developer is going to learn, like that we are going to start learning. So just in this big data download confirmation page, first this tab will have this exe, Big Data Studio exe. Okay, this is around 1.4 GB file. The file will be looking like this. So the file will be like Syncfusion Big Data. Okay, the file will be like this. Once you complete the download, you just need to double click that exe file and start the installation. This is the only step you need to do. You don't need to have a VM or VMware, start a Cloudera VM, Hortonworks VM, Linux VM, CentOS VM, nothing you need to do. Okay, just download this 1.5 GB file, double click on it and install it. This is just one time process. Once you have completed your installation, you will be having a separate shortcut like this. Okay, big data dashboard, like this white color icon, dashboard icon will be there. Just double click on that. So the dashboard will be visible. Okay, in this, just check into this Syncfusion Big Data Studio. Just remember this studio keyword, SQL Server Management Studio, Visual Studio, like what we use for developers. Similarly, we have named this as Studio. Since for development purpose, we have named it as Studio. So in this Syncfusion Big Data Studio, just click this Service Manager, Launch Service Manager. Just click this button. What this button will do is it will invoke the local service manager window and it will start all the Hadoop services. Okay. By default, if you are aware of configuring Hadoop in Linux environment, you need to just execute start underscore all.sh. So that script file you have to execute to start all the Hadoop services. Here you don't need to go to command prompt or anything. Just click the service manager. It will start this Hadoop services. Okay. And in case of need, you can start the HBase services. In case of need, you can start the Spark Thrift server. Okay. So to work with only with Spark and Scala, the Spark Thrift server is not necessary. So this is something like an abstraction to access Hive tables in Spark. So for now, for basic purpose, if you are going to just work with Hadoop and Hive, you can just start these services alone. And let me just start HBase services as well. So it will take just a few seconds to start. It will start HBase master service, region server, thrift server, rest server. So these two servers are main. These two services, master and region services, are main for HBase, and the thrift and rest servers are client APIs, which will allow HBase data to be accessed via Thrift in a different environment. Either it could be in C# or Java, anything it may be. Okay, so let the services start. It would take some couple of seconds. Okay, so some few seconds it will take. So for this installation, I recommend to have your machine to have 8 GB RAM or above. Okay, in 4 GB RAM, it will install. The services will start properly, but it will have some delay in all the operations. Like see, in say HBase services has started in around 20 seconds, but in case of 4 GB, it won't start in 20 seconds. It will have some time delay, and you would face some memory exception also. Okay, so I recommend to install this in a machine which has 8 GB or above for a smooth working. Okay, so right now we have Hadoop services in a running state, Hive in running state, and HBase running state. So to identify it is running or not, you can just click this, check this color. It is in green color, right? So we can mean it as running. So what the next step is, I just need to click this launch Big Data Studio. So let me just close this, which I have previously opened. No, Rajesh, we don't need any configuration. See, what I am doing is, after you have installed exe, this I'm just telling the step immediately after you are installing the software. There is no other configuration. You don't need to set any configuration in Hadoop core side, Mapred side, anything. Nothing is required. Everything is pre-built. Okay. See, all my ecosystem are made configured and it is ready to use. See, this is the HDFS UI. Like those who are using Hadoop, you could know this. Localhost 50070. This is the default port where Hadoop will be running. So let me just show you the HDFS UI, how it will be looking like. They have just launched the localhost 50070. This is the home page, and in the utilities menu, I'm just browsing the file system. HDFS is a file system, right? So in the Hadoop UI, you can see the file system here like this. What is the permission, owner, group, size, last modified replication, data. So what Hadoop by itself default provides is we can just view the file system, HDFS file system. We can just view this in this particular UI. But in case you need to create a new file, upload a new file, all those things you need to go command line. But here in this Big Data Studio, you have an option here. So you can just create a new folder. See, I have just created a new folder here. Probably you can see this here as well. See, the new folder is created. The last modified time is just now 8:10. And let me just upload a small file here. Okay, let me just create a new file. 1, Dinesh, 2, Kumar, 3, Arun, 4, Rajesh, 5, Mani, 6, Suresh. So I have just created a simple file. I'm just saving it. Simple.csv. Let me just save it to some other place. Let me just save it in D drive. It's in a folder called test. Okay, let me just save my CSV file in this D drive test folder. Okay, so this is my just a simple sample data. Now I am within the BDP folder. Here I just like to upload my file which I have just now created. It could have been created by by now, or it would have already exist, anything it may be. So I have just uploaded the file, option selected, and I clicked upload. So the upload has been completed. It's great. So here you can see the file, the simple.csv. It is in HDFS, and just double click on that. You can see the file in from HDFS. You can see how the file looks like. Okay, this is a HDFS file viewer, custom viewer. So just you can check it in WebUI as well. Inside that BDP, the new file has uploaded, and let me just download it. So in case of default browser, you just need to download and check this file. Okay. Yeah, good. So the same file which I have uploaded. Okay, fine. So what happens next? Let me just execute some Hadoop of commands with this Hadoop command. HDFS DFS ls / BDP. So I am just listing the files which I have within directory. So my files, all the files has been listed here. Okay. So let me just execute some advanced command. HDFS FSCK BDP. So this FSCK is nothing but a file system check command. It will just check whether my file is proper, is in case any corruption is there, everything. So it tells that the file system under BDP folder is healthy. Okay. So you can execute any kind of Hadoop commands here with this Hadoop tab. So coming to Scoop, you can execute. With the Scoop you can integrate with many databases which are available. What are all the Scoop that supports? MSS, Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, anything it may be. So what you have to do is you just need to download the connector. So in case my SQL server is JDBC connector is already installed. So in case you have MySQL database, you just click this checkbox and click install. It will automatically download and place the JDBC jar file in the respective location. So it is just installing. Yeah, the installation has succeeded, and you can proceed with adding a connection. Selecting your connection, MySQL. You can name the connection string, username, password of your connection, everything, and you can create a new job. So what kind of job? Import or export? Anything it may be. Okay. So for time purpose, I cannot show a complete demo with this. So let me just skip to next tab. So this big tab, you will be having the grunt shell started by default. Okay. So the grunt shell will exist, will are started by default. You can directly just start to use this and query whatever. So let me just execute a simple sample here. This is just a group by sample, and I'm just executing the first command, run selection, and second command, third command. I know those who know pig, you can see that this are happening very quickly because these are all not actions. Pig is lazy loading type of thing. So once I give this dump command, it is an action. It will start a MapReduce function. See, the MapReduce function has started, and the job is currently running. So this sample, what it does is, within the data and customers, it just takes all the CSV, all the files, creates a type called customers, and groups the customers, this data with the company name, and for each group, it generates a new group, and it just displays them. Sorry, dumps to display it. So my MapReduce job 50% complete, and it all okay. Yeah, that's good. My job is completed. See, my output data has executed. See, my job is successfully completed. My MapReduce job, and the output data has been printed. Okay. So this is how you can check with the predefined samples here, or else you can write your own script file. You can start with your own pig script and start with the new sample, and you can do anything. Okay. So coming to the next step, Hive. The Hive shell, Hive client shell would have started by default. Even this will be having all pre-configured samples here. So in case you need, you can create a new script file and have your own queries. So I have a file, new file uploaded in HDFS, right? In the name of folder BDP. So let me just have the script file here. So I'm just creating an external table, customers, which has two columns, company name and customer name, and let me rename this. Customer name, which are delimited by comma. You would have seen here, right? My source folder. Which is comma separated, which is having two fields, customer ID and customer name. And my HDFS location is /BDP. Here it has root location and simple.csv. I didn't mention the file name here. I'm just mentioning my HDFS folder name. That's it. So I should change my column name here as well. Okay. So this is my new script file. I'm just executing that. Yes. Do you want to save the changes? Yes. Save it. And I can just tell where my script file should execute. HQL file. Test underscore file. Let me just have this. Okay. The table has been created. There is some problem. Just a minute. Yeah, 1 second. Customer name. Yeah, actually, my data file should have this title. So let me just delete this. Okay, fine. I think that will do. Let me just re-upload my file. Fine. So this has the header. Now let me execute this. Yeah, sorry. I think there is another table called customers here. So that's why my sample is failing. So let me just name it as a new column. That's why you could see the error here. Invalid table alias, customer name. There are multiple column names are there like this. So I already have customers, the table name customers. So let me just give a new name for my new table. Yeah. Now it has executed and the result is printed. From my customers one table, the result is printed. And similar to SQL Server and MySQL, Oracle, anything it may be, this also has a simple UI to check what are all the tables this has. See, in my default database, there was previously only two tables, customers and customers and test. Now once I have executed this sample, my new table, customers one has created. So from here itself, you can go and check, select top 500 rows, like how we have in SQL Server Management Studio. So in a very simplified and easier manner, you can just have this result. It also has drop table, alter table, add column, everything it has. Okay. So let me proceed with HBase. For HBase also, HBase shell will be started by default to kickstart your work. So let me just create a new table. I think this doesn't have any table as of now. Yeah, HBase don't have any table. So let me just create a new table. Create customers one and tell my column family. Yeah, that's good. The table has been created. See, the new table is created and the column family name is info, right? So let me just put a sample data. Put command customers one, and I should tell my row key, and I should specify my column family name and my column name, customer name. Let me mean like this. And finally my value. Fine. So the row has executed. Let us check here. See, the row I have inserted is fetched here. Even in console, if you would like to test, you can just use the scan command. See, it has fetched the data. What this scan command does is it just shows you with the detailed information, row key, column name, timestamp value, everything. So if you just use this option, just data it will fetch. So it will be easy for you to cross check whether the data is correct or not, right? So similar to Spark, the Scala shell will be started by default. Okay. If you're as you know,
Dinesh,
yes, yes.
have you already created? Yeah, have you already created that column family info?
No, I was just creating right now. No, see, create table name info. I was creating the table itself now only. See the,
No,
can
no,
you see
you
the
said
comment?
create table. Yeah, create table name is customers, but you said like the column family is info, right?
Yes. This is the
So
syntax of HBase
what?
command.
No, but what are the columns that are contained in that info?
Okay. I think you are comparing this with standard SQL. So HBase is a new NoSQL database which is schema
Okay.
independent. So you just need to define the column family alone. That is enough for this HBase. Okay. So you can create n number of columns. See, let me just execute the put command with a different column name, customer name, and let me just give customer last name, Kumar, and let me just give, okay, let me just execute this first, and customer phone 9150 something. So it has been executed. See what happens now. Customers one. See, the same column family will be same, and the column name will be newly generated. So it is schema independent. You can create any number of columns. So you can cross check it here also. 1 second. Okay, I think there is some refresh issue here. So you can check. Okay, this is only one column family we are having. No, that's what. Inside that column family, there are many number of columns are there. So it is independent. The columns you can have any number, and you can define it at any time. Is that fine? I think I don't know who asked the question. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine, Dinesh. Please
Okay.
proceed.
Okay. And coming to Spark, people who know Spark know that Spark can be made to work using many interpreters. Like if you know Scala, you can just go with Scala. If you know Python, you can just go with Python shell. If you know some Java or something, you can directly use Java. So Scala is the topmost level and it is most recommended. So by default, Scala shell will be running here. Okay. So you will be having many Scala samples here as well. So let me just execute one particular sample. See where the Spark, as you know, the Spark context also will be started for you by default. With the Spark context, I am just mentioning my text file. So my RDD has created, and let me just do a flat map operation. Fine, it's completed, and let me just execute the collect. Column name can be defined when inserting values. Yes, Kumar. While inserting values itself, we can define the column name. So like Pig, Spark also lazy type of loading. So first two operations is just a transformation. You can mean it as like a transformation only. You just create a new RDD and do a flat map. Only when you execute a action type of function collect, the actual function has called. See, now my sample has completed execution. The staging has completed and the results are printed. So this is how you can just work with HDFS, Hadoop commands, Scoop, Pig, Hive, HBase, everything. Okay. So any doubts, guys? So my part of session is over as of now. If you have any doubts, please ask me. Right. Manikandan, are you there? Yes. Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Do we have a Mac version? Like you showed me Windows Hadoop version, right? Is it possible to install in Mac?
No, as of now, it is not possible to install in Mac. The support is not yet provided because this is pure exe type of file now. See, just you can see here. See, the file type is completely exe, Windows type of file. So you can install in Windows.
Yeah, I got.
As of now,
I
Mac is
understand.
not.
I just thought it. Oh, okay, I got it. Thank you.
As of now, Mac is not yet supported.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, fine. Manikandan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, Mani. Can we wind up the session?
One second.
Sure.
Okay, fine. So, thanks for everyone. So, Dinesh, can you just quickly go through the 2 minutes because some of the people are newly joined after a few minutes later for the session.
Okay.
So they might be that where to download the tool in the first level. The rest of things they can watch out the videos of what we are uploading on the NIFE tools webinar session.
Okay.
So,
So-
can we quickly go through that, download the tools?
Yeah, sure. Let me just,
And what is it?
okay. Let me just repeat the how to download and how to install. So just go to Google, type Syncfusion, go to the home page. You can see the under the products, you can see various products are available. So under enterprise solutions, just click data integration platform for Apache NiFi. Okay, there won't be any word, direct word here. Apache NiFi, Apache Hadoop. There won't be any word. Just make a note of it. For Apache NiFi, you need to learn Apache NiFi. You need to download data integration platform. Okay. So let me just click there. Straight away, you can just download this. Okay. So before going to this, you just need to create an account here. It is not compulsory that you need to give your official company account or anything. That is not a mandatory at all. You can just create an account with your own Gmail ID. That is enough. Okay. So it is free to use, free to learn, free to download, free to install, free to learn. So there is no license key, there is no like cost or anything. It will not ask for credit card, nothing it will be asked. It is a free to download software and you can free to work. Okay.
So what is the minimum software and hardware OS requirement?
Yeah, the minimum Windows version is Windows 7. You just need to have Windows 7. And I recommend actually this for this data integration platform, it is enough to, if you are installing only data integration platform, it will run in a 4 GB machine itself. Okay, and while you are executing jobs, have very small files like this, just 20 rows or 30 rows, 50 rows, because for learning purpose we don't need to hectep with 1 lakh rows, 2 lakh rows and all. Okay, just for learning purpose you can have a minimal number of rows. For data integration platform, 4 GB RAM, Windows 7 operating system is enough. Okay, you can just start practicing. But for Syncfusion Big Data Studio, so let me just go to my home page again. In the product section, I am choosing Big Data Platform for Hadoop Windows tool. Okay, see, you can just see here Hadoop on Windows. Soon this banner will change. So just don't mean with this banner. So what you have to do is products Big Data Platform. So once you click Big Data, this page will be displayed, and just click the download free trial. See, here itself the requirements will be specified. The requirement required is Windows 7 or later and .NET Framework 4.5 or later. Mostly .NET Framework 4.5 will be available by default when you purchase a laptop itself, and the Windows will be pre-installed and the .NET Framework and all will be pre-installed. So any other nothing else will be required. But for this particular big data related working, where you have Hadoop, Pig, Scoop, Hive, HBase, Spark, everything, even Spark Python, Spark IPython, everything will be there configured. For this tool, I recommend you can install it in a machine with 8 GB or more. Okay, in 4 GB also it will download, it will install, the launcher will open, everything will be fine, but it will not have enough memory to work upon. See, I have executed a Pig job, Hive job, and created some samples in HBase and executed a sample in Spark as well. Just 1 second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So when you're working with multiple ecosystem, 4 GB machine will not be able to cope up with RAM. So I recommend to install it in 8 GB machine or more. You can have it in 12 GB, 60 GB or anything. So, and one more thing, you don't think that additional RAM as an expense. It is going to be an investment. So you are investing on a hardware, and ultimately it is going to help you to learn many new things. Okay, because the world is moving very faster. Okay, so directly you can just install a new. Sorry, in case you have a lower RAM, you can just add additional RAM. Okay, so to come again, just you can download this Big Data Studio exe, this 1.5 GB file, to work with Hadoop related components. Okay, to work with NiFi related tool, you need to download data integration platform. You need, if you are going to work in Hadoop related tools, you need to download Big Data Studio, this Big Data platform. Okay. And someone asks, am I a computer science graduate and fresher except SQL? Do we need to learn any other programming language? If yes, what are they? See, this Hadoop, Pig, Scala, all these have their own syntax. So there is nothing to have like you need to know C# or you need to know pre-existing language and all. So each of this ecosystem has its own command. See, Hadoop commands has its own syntax, HDFS, FSCK, which we are not aware of so far. So you need to learn step by step. As of my recommendation, just go to net and or even here you can you have many pre-configured script files. Just click this HDFS basic script file. You can have many commands with the commands, user commands listed. So if you want to list all the directories, you need to execute this command. If you want to recursively list all the directories, you need to execute this. So like this, you can navigate step by step. First Hadoop, and then Pig, and then Hive. Like that, you can navigate step by step. See, the Pig's grunt shell has its own syntax. The grunt has its own language, and Hive has HiveQL, Hive query language, similar type of SQL. HBase has its own query language. So at a stretch, within a short span of time, it is difficult to learn all those things. So go step by step. Okay. So anything else? You can ask any kind of doubt. By what basis you choose when to use this, any one of this? See, yes. I'm just talking for a few minutes in a industry oriented. Okay. So there are many types of files. CSV files are there, Avro files are there, JSON files are there, many types of files. Many kind of data are being generated. Okay, in real case, if I am just going to analyze my Twitter data, the tweets will be coming in very real time. So for this kind of real time kind of operations, I will choose Spark. If my data is real time, I will choose Spark. Or else if I am having a static data, like what I have shown you demo, no, my target, my source file, I already have here. So it is already have, I already have my source file. In this case, I can choose either Pig or Hive. Upon Pig or Hive, there is some difference. If my data is of a structured manner, like if I fetch my data from a database and move it to HDFS using Scoop, I can directly go with Hive, because Hive has a SQL type of syntax, create table, like SQL commands now. So it will be very easy to kickstart. So in case my data is not of fully structured and it is of semi-structured and non-structured, I can go choose with Pig. Okay. So there are many, still it goes much deeper. So if you are kickstarting to learn as a fresh thing, you just start with Hive, like what I have did. I have created my own data, right? With some very simple 2 column and 5 rows. like 6 rows. Like that, you can have your own simple data and just check what is the create table command, what is the select table command, how can I insert, what in case my fields are with a different separator. See, in my command I have delimited field separated by comma. So what in case tab separated? What in case or separated? So the syntax goes on. So step by step you can learn. Okay, is it fine, Aravind? Okay. Anything else? Any doubts in installation or downloading? Okay, it seems there is no questions. Manikandan, hello. Okay, seems there is no questions, Manikandan. Shall we wind up? Mani, are you online? Okay, guys.